differential treatment to applicants based upon their motives and based upon what the final product will be, because again, I don't want to get into a situation of, well, this is going to really advance the species, but maybe not as much as this project, so we don't, I don't want to do that. I don't want to start doing that differentiation. Personally, I think that Dr. Walters made a good explanation in terms of timing. I don't think timing is going to be a problem. He's indicated, and after doing a read-through, it seemed clear to me. The EQAP monitors can double up, you can make some savings in that regard, and I'm certainly in favor of that. The restoration plan, personally, I believe that needs to be done, just like any other plan in Santa Barbara County. The mitigation ratios, again, Dr. Walters defined what that is, and so we're only talking about native species. And when you're talking about native species, my position, the county's numbers have to be kept. Can't start making decisions based upon something else. Biological monitors, if we've got the EQAP monitor there are times when that can be struck. And the 3 times if you're going to have an EQAP monitor there every day, then yeah, I agree with Dr. Walters' provision there. And the standard condition of 5 days a week, I have a problem with this one. Here's my problem. This is kind of precedent setting. We got trucks running. I think all of you know, every weekend we got a different situation out there on the 101. We're talking about 10 hours and sometimes heavy traffic of trucks out in an area where people aren't even used to seeing them. And a lot of travelers coming to Santa Barbara County and beyond on the 101, and then going the other direction on Sundays, going back, or sometimes late at night on Saturday. My suggestion, and I agree with the chairman, that it is difficult to get a hold of planners. My suggestion would be that, like any other variance that we make in this, and we have made some in the county, I know it, and normally, by the way, these have to go all the way to the Board of Supervisors. I know that, for example, Capital Pacific Homes asked to do, and everybody's going yes, so and it had to go all the way to the Board of Supervisors to change the timing on it. So what I'm suggesting is, I'm willing to follow Dr. Walters' suggestion, but let's maybe pull this thing together a little bit and have regular meetings of these folks. We're talking about a 2-month project, which I hope that you are very lucky, and people with lots of all the planets aligning, because this is ambitious, and getting all of these people to all of these agencies together, I think you're going to need to have some regular monitoring progress meetings, because all these different agencies are going to have all different requirements, and unless you're meeting together and have some way to communicate together, this thing's just going to get out of control. And let me just say that if Gaviota Bridge is an example, it wasn't until they actually started having some really concentrated meetings where all the parties and all of the permitting agencies were present on a regular basis did the project actually begin to even move, and it languished for some 3 years. So my suggestion is have some regular meetings. If you can at that point, then if they're regular meetings that are on a bi-weekly format with planning and development, then you could say, looking ahead, we know that in 2 weeks' time we're going to really be needing to have a 10-hour-a-day, 6-day-a-week operation. That, I think, would be effective, because then the person's there, they're already primed. You don't even have to know exactly what day it is, but we're going to call you and let you know, and it's going to extend for this period of time. I think maybe that's workable. I don't think it's workable just having a call to a person because you think that today the trucks came late, the concrete didn't get delivered, and we're sitting there, and it's now. Those situations may happen, but I think it'd be better if you planned it ahead. That's all that I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioner Boyson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would agree wholeheartedly with Commissioner Smyser that, you know, there are certain conditions, the redundant conditions, that obviously I think can be acquiesced to. But the biggest problem that I have with this is that we're negotiating this thing at the Planning Commission level. I mean, it's almost like staff and the applicant haven't been sitting down and talking to each other, and I'm just not sure who's even paying us. I mean, I imagine the applicant's paying us to process this permit, and if that's the case, I would hope that we're working with them on a daily basis, and we're coming up with some minutia here that kind of tells me that everybody's not quite on the same page. I certainly would agree with Dr. Walters that unless, you know, we get staff at the highest levels to sign off on these mitigation measures, and that everybody agrees, and that, you know, we feel we're consistent with mitigated negative deck, et cetera, I don't really want to touch those things. So I'm not sure where we're at, whether, you know, we need to take another look at this thing and revise it, or you want to approve it, the applicant wants us to approve it as it is. So I guess that's where I'm at. I can certainly support the project. I think it's a great project. I want to see projects like this go forward, especially when we can do it on the state's nickel. And, you know, but let's make sure everybody's on the same page.
Thank you, Commissioner Boyson. Commissioner Brown?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I appreciate the efforts of the Land Trust in getting the grant and doing the restoration project, and the efforts of staff in coordinating the various paperwork and in order to accomplish the project. I'm a little concerned that we don't really have all the approvals necessary yet. And I know that may impact the timing, but I agree with Commissioner Boyson. We're just kind of negotiating on the fly here, and I don't like doing that. I think that it needs to be finalized before we make any approvals. So that's where I'm at.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Cooney.
Just to indicate my support for the project, I gave Dr. Walter the opportunity to say we haven't had a chance to discuss these and to give them further consideration. I would have supported a continuance for that purpose. He said, I think we can handle these today. He's obviously trying to cooperate with the applicant and move it along. He got it on the agenda early. I don't want to frustrate his effort. I would be willing to follow his recommendations and go forward with the approval subject to those changes today.
All right, thank you. And it looks like there's a deadline here of after December. You don't do any work, so you got 5 months, and you've got to get started on this thing. And the big question to me is, that, as you indicated, we're not going to relax the standards. You found a way to work around them so that the CEQA manager can do a couple of things besides one thing. The only thing that's in question is Saturdays. I don't have any problem for a 2-month period, whatever time span it is. I don't have any problem with them working Saturdays. And at this point, before I'll go to you in a second, Dr. Walter, it's up to Commissioner Smyser. It's his district. So yes, Dr. Walter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I actually wanted to comment on Commissioner Smyser's recommendation there that regularly scheduled or pre-scheduled meetings occur. I think that's a great idea. I think that one of the conditions that we already have on this project could be amended today to provide for that, and I think that would alleviate, or hopefully alleviate, the concerns of everyone that that work was somehow held up. And I think that there is a condition here which addresses permit compliance and the need for it. That's condition number 70, and we could certainly add a very simple phrase in there to require pre-scheduled meetings on a regularly scheduled basis during this project. I think between the permit compliance officer and the general contractor and any representative that the Land Trust would like, I think that's a great idea, and I think it would basically it would alleviate any concern that people couldn't get a hold of each other and that the project would be held up because they didn't get an okay to work on Saturday, for example. And if you'd like, we did talk about this, and I could add some language while we're here to this condition to do that.
All right, council wants to jump in on this.
Oh, I only wanted to comment that even though you modify condition 70, you would still need to modify condition 72 to allow the longer hours and the greater number of days. And I have some language that you may want to consider if you want to do that.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Smyser?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe I'm ready to make a motion. I think we may need the language there unless we're willing to allow staff to create the language necessary to do that. Can you do that quickly, or do we just?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Smyser, we could do that quickly.
Okay. Would it be possible then to take maybe a 3-minute?
Take a 3-minute break while you prepare that language.
Mr. Chair, we're ready now.
Oh, you're ready
okay.
now? All right, let's go.
Yes. On condition number 70, after the second sentence, which ends in the word conditions, what we would add is that regular pre-scheduled meetings scheduled no more than 2 weeks apart shall occur between the permit compliance officer, the land trust representative, and the general contractor. Period.
Okay. Any other changes?
And then, Mr. Chair, you will still need the change to condition 72 because what has just been proposed would not allow a variance on any of the conditions, which is what you really need to address as well. I would have the first sentence of 72 read, construction activities for site preparation and for future development shall be limited to the hours between 7:30 and 4:30, Monday through Friday, unless P&D approves a longer period and a 6-day work week in consultation with the applicant.
Is that all right?
Yes, that'll be fine with me.
That's fine. All right, enter that language.
Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering about I would like to just include by reference all of the recommendations of Dr. Walters. Do we need to go through them specifically?
No, we
Okay.
don't.
Thank you. In that case, then, I would like to move staff's recommendation with the modifications by Dr. Walters and County Council. And
All right. The recommendation and updates, BQAP and so on,
yes,
to do 2 jobs and, yes,
Mr. Chair, how about let's hearing from the applicant, make sure that these,
well, the applicant is going to, this is something that we're agreeing that we're going to do. The applicant is
Right.
going to say it's all right.
Right, Mr. Chair, just before the applicant actually clarifies their acceptance, I just wanted to clarify whether these changes that we're talking about, the motion does include on number 71, the striking of the last sentence to require the biological monitor 3 times a week.
Yes.
That would be struck out.
based upon your recommendation, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, the applicant, I'm sure he's getting a little relief on some of the things here, so I'm sure he's in favor of all this. Did you want to say something? Very short.
Jim, I've got it. I'm down here.
Okay, Mr.
I
Feeney.
pulled rank on it.
All right.
He may have something to add, but I guess I would say I appreciate Commissioner Smyser taking the lead and moving to have the project approved because the timing is critical. I think we can work out the monitoring and reporting things in some way, especially if we can keep the duration of the project and when we need the EQAP monitors out there short. We'll have to evaluate and decide whether we can fulfill the 3-to-1 mitigation requirement. And I don't know that I can commit to that here on the spot. So we'll have to think about that one. And I guess I would comment through the chair back to the point that Commissioner Smyser made. Not a question of the motives or the type of organization sponsoring the project. This is a project designed to enhance an existing environmental resource. So having a policy that says if you want to enhance an existing environmental resource, you have to do it 3 times as much as you have the possibility to do in a location, it's just a totally different thing from someone who's going in and impacting the environment for any other purpose. We're doing it to try and improve what's already there, and there's not physical space.
Okay, we don't want to re-argue that. We don't, just,
So on that basis, we'll be happy to have your approval today and try our best to move forward and get the project going.
all right. Commissioner Smizer.
May I just say one thing? And
Yes,
that is that
certainly.
if, I think that if Mr. Feeney's point is that maybe we need to handle these kinds of projects in a different way, that really isn't our purview at this moment. I don't see it as that. That would be an ordinance change, and it would mean P&D coming up with a different way of designating projects, which I don't think they want to wait that long. And so anyway, I'm ready to go forward with the motion as I indicated.
Commissioner Smizer, you're right on point. And please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the staff recommendations and Dr. Walter's changes that he has made just momentarily ago, along with the rewording by County Council.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Second from Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll. Ms. Mendoza?
Commissioner Boyson?
Aye.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Cooney?
Aye.
Commissioner Smizer?
Aye.
Commissioner Valencia?
Aye.
Vote carries 5-0.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. It's been a lot of items. It's 5 o'clock. The Planning Commission has done a good job with all these items. I thank you all. Planning Commission has completed its work for today. We're adjourned.